You are holding your phone in the dark, and the only light in the room is that blue little rectangle in your hand. Someone texted, "You good?" Or maybe it is worse than that. Maybe they said, "We're going out later if you want to come." And you do. That is the part nobody would believe if they saw you right now. You actually want to answer. You want to be the kind of person who just types, "Yeah, what time you want to throw on a hoodie, find your keys, hear the car door shut, walk into the noise like it is nothing." But your thumb just hovers. The screen starts to dim. Your jaw locks like your body is holding back a sentence. Your chest gets tight in that strange, embarrassing way, like the message is not an invitation. It is a test you forgot to study for. You read it again? You good? You can feel the answer somewhere inside you, but it will not come up clean. It gets stuck behind all these little fears that sound stupid when you say them out loud. What if you reply too fast? What if you reply too late? What if they only asked because they felt guilty? What if you go and stand there like extra furniture? What if everyone already has their person, their corner, their inside jokes, and you walk in carrying your whole unclaimed self in your hands? So you put the phone face down on the bed. The room goes quiet. The hallway light cuts under the door. You tell yourself this is peace, and maybe part of it is. But another part of you is lying very still, waiting for the danger to pass. Because disappearing socially does not always look dramatic. It is not always deleting apps, blocking numbers, vanishing for months. Sometimes it is just not answering one message, then another, then another. It is watching the group chat keep moving without you until the conversation becomes a place you cannot enter anymore. It is seeing someone's story and thinking, "I should say something," and then feeling your body pull back like a hand from a hot stove. It is sitting in your car outside a place you said you might come to, engine still running, fingers on the wheel, already imagining the moment you walk in, and nobody looks relieved to see you. So you leave. You tell yourself you are tired. You tell yourself you are busy. You tell yourself you like being alone. And maybe you do like being alone. That has to be said gently. There is nothing wrong with needing quiet. There is nothing wrong with being someone who feels most like yourself when nobody is asking you to perform. Isolation can become a room where your body finally stops flinching. But there is a difference between solitude that restores you and disappearance that punishes you before anybody else can. And you know that difference in your body. You know it when you are alone, but not resting. You know it when the silence is not soft. It is tense, like you are hiding under it. You know it when you do not answer because you do not care. You know it when you do not answer because you care so much that caring feels unsafe. People see the outside and think you are private, cold, independent, hard to reach, maybe even arrogant. They think you prefer distance. They think you are the kind of person who does not need anyone. But they do not see the way you rehearse a reply 5 times and still delete it. They do not see you opening the message, closing it, opening it again like the right version of you might appear if you wait long enough. They do not see how much monitoring happens before you speak. Is this too much? Is this too dry? Do you sound needy? Do you sound boring? Do you sound like you are trying too hard? Did you use too many exclamation points? Not enough. Why did they say lol like that? Why did the energy change? Why did they leave you on read when you thought the conversation was finally okay? And then your mind does that cruel little thing where it turns one unclear moment into a full verdict on your worth. See, you were too much, or not enough. Again, that is the part that started long before this phone, long before this room. Maybe it started in a classroom where the teacher said, "Pick a partner," and your stomach dropped before anybody moved. You already knew. You could see the little pairs forming before they formed, bags being dragged next to desks, heads turning toward best friends, chairs scraping, somebody saying, "Come here," to someone else, and you just sat there pretending to look for something in your backpack. A pencil, a paper, a reason not to be seen waiting. Maybe it started at lunch, when you stood there holding a tray, scanning the tables for a face that would open instead of close. You learned to move slowly, like if you looked calm enough, nobody would notice you had nowhere obvious to go. Maybe it started in a hallway when people you liked walked past you and did not slow down. Not because they were monsters, not because they planned your pain, just because they already belonged somewhere, and you did not know how to ask if there was space. Maybe you had friends, but you were not the friend. You know what that means. They were yours in your heart, but you were not theirs in the same way. You listened to their stories, you remembered their birthday. You noticed when their voice changed, you would have shown up if they called. But when something happened, they called someone else first, and you acted like that did not teach you anything. But it did. It taught you to expect the edge of the circle. It taught you to smile before you were chosen last, so it looked like you did not care. It taught you to make yourself easy to leave. John Bowlby wrote about attachment, about how repeated availability teaches the body what to expect from people. Not just what you think, what your body expects. When comfort shows up again and again, your body learns people can be safe. When connection is inconsistent, humiliating, or always just out of reach, your body learns something else. It learns to prepare. It learns to scan. It learns that rejection arrives before words. And that is the first twist, the one that hurts because it makes too much sense. You do not disappear because you hate people. You disappear because your nervous system learned rejection arrives before words. Before the actual no. Before the unanswered text. Before the awkward silence. Before the look across the room that maybe meant nothing but felt like everything. Your body starts grieving the rejection before it happens. It tries to get ahead of the pain. If you leave first, if you stop replying first, if you become unreachable first, then at least you are not standing there with your hands open while someone decides whether you matter. That is not drama. That is protection that got overworked. And if you are honest, you gave it a name before you understood it. Maybe you called it being low maintenance. Maybe you called it not liking people. Maybe you called it being mature. Maybe you called it being chill. Maybe you called it, I just forget to reply. Maybe you called it, I'm better on my own. What did you call it before you knew it was fear wearing your clothes? Because a lot of people never get past the name they gave it. They build a whole personality around the wound because that feels more powerful than admitting they wanted connection and did not know how to survive the risk of it. So you become the quiet one, the hard-to-read one, the one who does not ask to hang out, the one who waits to be invited, then panics when the invitation comes, the one who tells themselves if they really wanted me there, they would make it obvious. And maybe sometimes that is true. But sometimes people are messy. Sometimes they do want you there and they assume you know. Sometimes they stop asking because your silence looks like rejection to them. Sometimes two people sit on opposite sides of the same fear, both convinced they are the unwanted one. That is the tragedy of protective withdrawal. It can start as a shield and slowly turn into a wall with no door handle on the outside. You are not trying to hurt anyone. You are trying not to be hurt. But people cannot always tell the difference. They see the unread message. They see the canceled plan. They see the way you vanish after a good conversation, which confuses them because they thought you were getting closer. And inside, you are not thinking I want to punish them. You are thinking, that was too good now. I have something to lose. Connection can feel more dangerous after it goes well. Nobody talks about that enough. A bad interaction lets you confirm the old story. It hurts, but it is familiar. You can say, see, this is why I stay away. But a good interaction? That opens a window. That lets air in. That makes some younger part of you lift its head and ask, wait, could this be different? And that hope is terrifying. Because now, if they disappear, it will not just prove people leave. It will prove you were foolish for believing they might not. So you beat them to it. You go quiet. You act busy. You let the closeness die slowly enough that you can call it natural. And then you sit alone missing the person you avoided, because missing them feels safer than needing them. Mark Leary's sociometer theory talks about how human beings track acceptance and rejection almost like an internal gauge. When you have been made to feel unwanted enough times, that gauge can get painfully sensitive. You start self-monitoring every blink, every pause, every shift in tone. You are not just having a conversation. You are reading the room for weather. You are checking if the temperature dropped. You are listening for the moment someone gets tired of you. And that is exhausting in a way people who feel socially safe do not always understand. They think hanging out is just hanging out. For you, it can feel like holding your breath in public. Even your face becomes work. You smile enough to look friendly but not desperate. You talk enough to seem present but not annoying. You hide the weird thought, the excited thought, the real joke, the real opinion, because somewhere along the way being fully visible started to feel like offering people a weapon. You learn to edit yourself fast. Too fast. Before the sentence even reaches your mouth, a little guard inside you cuts it down. Don't say that. They'll think it's strange. Don't laugh like that. Don't care that much. Don't ask that question. Don't show them you remembered. Don't be intense. Don't be empty either. Just be acceptable. And you got so good at being acceptable that people started calling you independent. That is the second twist. What looked like independence was actually self-erasure that once kept you safe. You were not always choosing freedom. Sometimes you were choosing not to take up enough space to be targeted. Not enough space to be mocked. Not enough space to be excluded with witnesses. Not enough space for someone to say, "Why are you like that?" So you became smaller, quieter, easier. You learned not to reach first because reaching first exposed your hand. You learned not to say "I miss you" because what if they did not miss you back? You learned not to ask, "Are we okay?" because what if the answer was no or worse? What if they acted confused, like you were crazy for noticing the distance? You learned to let relationships fade without making a sound. And when enough relationships fade, you begin to believe fading is your nature. But fading was never your nature. It was your strategy. There is a difference. One says, "This is who I am." The other says, "This is what I had to do." And that difference matters because if it was a strategy, it can be softened, slowly, carefully, not ripped away from you, not mocked, not replaced with some loud fake confidence that makes your body feel unsafe, softened. Because your nervous system is not stupid. It is trying to keep you alive in the way it knows. In 2003, Naomi Eisenberger and Matthew Lieberman published research in Science showing that social exclusion lights up pain-related systems in the brain. That does not mean every unanswered text is the same as physical injury. But it does explain why being left out can feel so sharp, so bodily, so hard to just get over. Your body does not treat belonging like a cute extra. It treats it like survival. So when you pull away, you are not being ridiculous. You are responding to pain your body remembers. And this is where people split into two camps. Some of you will say, "No, being alone is peace. My room, my routine, my food, my shows, my locked door, my phone on silent. Nobody misunderstanding me. Nobody asking why I am quiet. Nobody making me feel like I have to audition for warmth." And some of you will say, "No, it is loneliness. It is looking at the ceiling at 1:17 a.m. wishing one person knew how bad it got. It is hearing people laugh outside your window and feeling like life is happening in a language you never learned. It is wanting to be invited and dreading being invited at the same time. So which one are you? A or B? Peace or loneliness? And the unfair answer is that both camps are right. Sometimes the same locked door protects you and traps you. Sometimes the same silence heals you and starves you. Sometimes you are not choosing between people and solitude. You are choosing between two different kinds of pain. The pain of risking rejection, or the pain of never being seen. And for a while, never being seen feels easier. Because if nobody sees you, nobody can misunderstand the real you. Nobody can dismiss the part of you that still feels tender. Nobody can look at your excitement and go blank. Nobody can make you feel like you brought too much of yourself to a room that only wanted a lighter version. But then the loneliness starts to leak through the edges. It shows up when something good happens and you do not know who to tell. It shows up when you see a meme that fits someone perfectly, but you do not send it because you have not talked in months, and now sending it feels like explaining your whole disappearance. It shows up when you are sick, and you tell everyone you are fine because needing care feels more vulnerable than the fever. It shows up when your birthday comes and you pretend not to care who remembers. It shows up when you finally get the house quiet, the exact thing you said you wanted, and your body still does not feel safe. Just alone. Stephen Porges, through the polyvagal framing, talks about how safety changes whether connection even feels possible. Not just desirable, possible. When your body feels threatened, connection can feel like a demand even if the person is kind. But when safety is present, your system has more room. Eye contact feels less like exposure. A message feels less like a trap. A pause in conversation does not automatically become abandonment. That is why you cannot bully yourself into being social. You cannot shame a guarded body into opening. You cannot call yourself broken enough times that you become free. You need safety, and safety is not the same as comfort. Comfort says, nobody can reach me. Safety says, I can be reached by someone who will not punish me for being real. That kind of safety might feel boring at first, suspicious even. When someone is steady, you may not trust it. You may wait for the switch. You may test them without meaning to. You may answer late, reveal a little, disappear, come back, then watch their face for irritation. Part of you wants them to prove they will stay. Another part of you is terrified. They actually might. Because then you would have to learn something new, and learning safety after years of bracing can feel like walking with a weapon you are slowly being asked to put down. Not all at once. Just a little lower. You do not have to become the person who loves crowds. You do not have to suddenly enjoy loud bars, forced small talk, packed rooms, birthdays where nobody knows where to stand. You do not have to turn into someone who replies instantly, says yes to everything, and calls that healing. That is not healing. That might just be another performance. The third twist is this. Healing is not becoming extroverted. It is letting one safe person see the unedited version. One person. Not the whole internet, not the whole group chat, not everyone from your past who already decided who you were when you were surviving. One safe person who can hear a real sentence from you and not make you regret saying it. Someone who can handle, I went quiet because I got scared. Someone who does not need you to be mysterious to respect you. Someone who does not punish you for needing time, but also does not let you disappear without gently knocking on the door. And maybe at first, the unedited version is small. Maybe it is replying, I want to come. I'm just anxious. Maybe it is saying, I didn't ignore you because I don't care. I get overwhelmed and then I don't know how to return. Maybe it is sending the meme. Maybe it is asking, are you free this week? And letting the message sit there without immediately planning your emotional funeral. Maybe it is staying 5 more minutes in the room instead of leaving the second you feel awkward. Maybe it is telling the truth without decorating it. I miss people, but I get scared of needing them. That one sentence could change more than you think. Not because everyone will respond perfectly, they will not. Some people will not know what to do with your honesty. Some people liked the edited version because it never asked anything of them. Some people benefited from you being low maintenance, silent, always okay, always easy to reschedule, easy to forget, easy to place at the edge. Losing those people may hurt, but it may not be proof that you are too much. It may be proof that your real self is finally taking up enough space to reveal who can meet you there. And yes, that is scary. Because once you stop disappearing automatically, you have to feel the small griefs in real time. You have to feel when someone does not reply. You have to feel when the invitation does not come. You have to feel the sting without turning it into a lifelong identity. That takes practice. You practice telling your body, this is discomfort, not danger. You practice pausing before you vanish. You practice asking, do I actually want to be alone right now, or am I hiding? No judgment in the question. Just honesty. Because sometimes you will actually want to be alone. Good, be alone. Make the room gentle. Put your phone away. Eat something warm. Let the quiet be clean. But sometimes you will be hiding, and the body knows the difference. Hiding has a tightness. Solitude has breadth. Hiding keeps checking the phone even after turning it face down. Solitude forgets the phone exists. Hiding imagines everyone moving on without you and calls it proof. Solitude lets people exist without making their distance your fault. You may have spent years thinking the goal was to become wanted by everyone, to finally walk into a room and have the whole room light up, as if that would repair every lunch table, every partner assignment, every group chat you were added to but not really included in. But maybe the goal is smaller and harder. To stop abandoning yourself in advance. To stop treating your real personality like evidence against you. To stop editing your soul down to a version nobody can reject because nobody can truly meet it either. You are allowed to be specific. You are allowed to be strange in the exact way you are strange. You are allowed to care deeply, laugh weirdly, talk too much about the thing you love, go quiet when you need to think, ask for reassurance without making it a crime. You are allowed to be seen in stages. And if someone cannot handle stage 1, they do not get stage 2. That is not bitterness. That is discernment. But do not confuse discernment with disappearance. Discernment says, this person is not safe for me. Disappearance says, no one could be. One protects your future. The other keeps you trapped in your past. So tonight, maybe the phone is still face down. Maybe the message is still there. You good? Maybe you are not ready to answer like nothing happened. Maybe you cannot become casual on command. Maybe your chest still tightens and your thumb still freezes because your body remembers too much. Okay. Start smaller. Turn the phone over. Look at the message without making it a trial. Let your body feel the old fear and the present room at the same time. The bed under you. The hallway light under the door. The quiet air. The fact that nobody is laughing at you right now. Nobody is choosing partners right now. Nobody is leaving you at the table right now. It is just a message. It is also not just a message. That is why it matters. You type one honest line. Maybe I'm here. I've just been overwhelmed. Maybe I do want to come. I'm nervous though. Maybe, yeah, I haven't been good, but I'm trying. And before you can hate yourself for saying too much, you send it. Not because you know they will answer perfectly. Not because connection is suddenly safe forever. But because some part of you is tired of surviving by never arriving. The phone is still in your hand. The room is still quiet. But this time, you do not put yourself face down with it. You are not hard to love because you learned how to disappear. You are not broken because connection scares you. You can come back slowly and still be real.